Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I'm Petter and this is James.
Hi.
And today we're talking about Volume 2 of Frieren Beyond Journey's End. I guess something I'll say just right off the bat that I really liked about this book, that I don't feel like we had as much of in the first one, was basically the last half of this book was, just like one single coherent story. Or like arc, I suppose you could say,
Mm.
and it seems like it's going to continue even further into Volume 3, just based on the cliffhanger we got here. So that's something I guess I'm just excited to see more of these sorts of longer conflicts, kind of in the series in the future.
And not just a continuing story, but one that's filled with action.
True,
I
true.
mean, not like martial arts stuff, but you get to see Fern and the new character in action and show off their skills here.
Mm.
I mean, you also see Frieren and what she does as well. Her master of magic.
True, true. But
Uh,
but we know that she has saved the world once before, so we know, I guess, how powerful she is, or we should know. Although it's always fun to see just what level she is on.
right.
But shall we start by talking about Frieren then? And something that you told me about between, since we recorded our discussion on the first volume, was what her name that her name actually is a word in German.
Mm-hmm. It means freeze, apparently.
Yeah, like to freeze, like the verb freeze. Which
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really cool fun that it is just a straight up German word. And I mean, I guess in hindsight, I feel like I should have picked up on it because I think I pointed out Flamme's name last time, meaning flame in German,
Mm-hmm.
and there were other things like Ende, the place they're going to, is just the German word for end, and I think there was may have been something else as well. Um, but anyway, I actually have been looking up all of the names in
Nice.
this series. They are all of them are German words, and I guess I'll point them out as we get to those characters. But
Okay.
I just thought that was a really fun thing that I guess you kind of sparked when you told me that Frieren means freeze.
You
uh,
want to know how I came across that? I literally just typed in Frieden into Google search and it just popped up. Oh, that's German for freeze.
oh,
I was like, oh,
I see.
okay, that's wonderful. Can
Huh.
you tell me where I can get the volume two?
That's funny.
uh, so yeah, but I think it fits kind of what her character is. Not to say that she's a heartless person, because
Right.
obviously, as
No.
we see it through the story, she's not like that. But she does kind of have a cold demeanor,
Yeah.
and to be fair, she has a hard time understanding or is struggling to understand exactly how humans view time and how important uh, 10 years are to them in
Yeah.
comparison to her own understanding of time.
Exactly.
But it's also interesting that you have the whole comparison or the contrast with her master being named after Flame versus Freeze. That's quite nice.
Absolutely. And for some reason, I didn't put that together until you just said it just now. I don't know why, but yeah, that is actually pretty cool. Fire and Ice.
So, speaking of her master, she mentioned towards the beginning, in one of the beginning chapters, that when they come up against this demon like creature that takes memories of people, it took on the memory of, well, how it takes up the image of Flamma. And she says, well, let me get to it. Like, basically, that her master is begging to be killed or something like
Oh
that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, last time she encountered one of those, that's what happened.
But Fiden says, "Oh, that's normal though. Like I'm used to it." It's like, wait, what do you mean you're used to it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I just took that as a joke, but at the same time, maybe there is more to it. Cause yeah, like her master telling her to stop or something like that was what she apparently was used to.
Yeah, begging for her life. That's what it
That's
was.
what.
Begging, not
That's
not
right.
not asking to be killed. I'm sorry. I misquoted.
Yeah,
That's
no,
my
it
bad.
was it was Himmel who said shoot, like shoot me,
That's right.
and
That's
that
right.
was supposedly accurate for his person. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, Flamme begging for her life, and that was somehow for some reason something that Frieren was used to. I guess that was something I just mostly read as a joke, but at the same time, would Frieren make a joke like that? I wonder.
I don't think so. I mean, I she can kind of make joking remarks, but to me that one seems as if she's speaking matter of factly.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, she used to do that all the time, so I'm used to it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Like that it seems kind of dark,
It does, it does. And I mean, it seemed like they had a good relationship based on what we've seen and what we've heard.
right?
So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I could also read it as maybe not holding, like having that much weight to it, that maybe it's just something that the mangaka put in as a little gag just for us readers, maybe. That maybe we shouldn't think too much about it. Although that's definitely not necessarily the case. Like, there could be more to it. And I guess that would be the most interesting thing.
I'm gonna disagree and say that's not a gag, and say that there's something with Fama's backstory, like just maybe who she was,
Mm.
that maybe she was constantly being tormented by something, um,
Ooh.
and in that way was kind of begging for her life. Maybe, maybe.
That would be really cool. I
Um,
mean, I hope you're right that there is something more to that. Definitely.
yeah. It would just seem odd to bring that up and then she kind of just says, "Don't worry about it. It's not pleasant." You
Right.
know.
Absolutely.
And anyway.
Mm. But by the way, speaking of those phantom demons, they're called Einsam, which in German means lonely.
Oh.
I guess yeah, just little thing that's fun to know, I suppose. Not that it probably doesn't have too much meaning, but yeah, just
Mm-hmm.
fun to know it. And I guess it makes you feel
Mm.
for them a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm. But I liked how it took the form of Himmel this time. Like as we said, like in her
Yeah.
past encounters with these, it took the form of Flamme, but now it took the form of Himmel, which kind of surprised Frieren for a moment, or it caught her off guard, I think, because she was expecting Flamme. But yeah, it's nice to see how this has, well, how she has changed in the last couple of years, and how Himmel probably means a lot more to her now.
Indeed. Those that 100th of her lifetime really
Yeah.
really affected her,
Yeah.
as what's his name says, Eisen, or the dwarf.
Yeah, Eisen, exactly.
Eisen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess since we mentioned Himmel, I liked kind of the flashback we get to his reasonings behind all the statues, and it kind of connects to Flamme and Frieden being really the only person that remembers her.
Mm.
So instead of having another instance where no one remembers Himmel and their 10-year journey, he wants to leave these statues so that years later, people will still remember them, and well, not just that, but that Frieden won't be alone,
Yeah.
like she kind of was after her master passing away.
Precisely. And like yeah, and like it's also fun because partially he hides it behind, like Himmel, he hides it behind just kind of his flamboyant or kind of vain personality. But it's fun to understand that there is more to it than that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I really like that. And as we talked earlier a little bit about Frieren's, I guess, cold side, and how she, well, yeah, how she doesn't always comprehend humans and stuff like that. And something I really like is how she, at least throughout this book, and I think there were instances of it as well in the previous one, she always, or there were several occasions where she believed very strongly in Fern and also in Stark, and how, like, she told them that they can do things on their own that they maybe didn't think they could do themselves. And I think the fact that she believes in them like that and expresses herself like that, I think that shows, or I think that's a little way for her to show affection, even though she doesn't usually show affection very easily. But I think that's one of the ways that she can do that. At least that's how I'm choosing to look at that, at those instances.
Yeah, I think that's a great way. Yeah,
Mm.
definitely. It makes me think about how Frieden always remembers Fern's birthday.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like, how quickly does that come for Frieden? Like, for us, would that be every day that she has to like give a gift? Like,
oh, you mean
I don't,
right? I see what you mean.
because to her, like, 10 years is so minuscule, and 1 year is even would it be even more, right?
Mm.
So I wonder if that's just like I don't know, a hard thing for her to, not hard, excuse me, but a very common occurrence versus something that happens once a year for us, you know?
Yeah, I mean, she said that 3 years is no time at all when Stark said how long he had been in the village.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, her, but yeah, we know her perception of time is very different from humans.
Yeah. It was just interesting to think about,
Uh,
things that are annual, you know?
right, yeah, yeah, absolutely. But although on that, something that I took note of also was when she was put in the prison cell. Pretty much the first thing she said was, "I'm bored." It's like she got bored immediately, which surprised me because usually she's not like that. So I don't know if that was because of it being, like she was imprisoned, like she hadn't chosen to be there necessarily.
Maybe that, or maybe also she didn't have any grimoires at the time,
Oh, that
anything to
yeah,
be reading.
true, true. I think that's a good explanation. And apparently, Frieren has killed more demons than anyone else in history.
So,
Like, wow,
uh,
that is really impressive.
Frieren the Slayer.
Yeah, she has lived a long time. To be fair, but still, like in history, she is the one who the demons at least claim to be the one who's slayed the most of them.
I mean, it makes sense since she was part of the group that took down the Demon King, but
True.
it is cool to see just how much the demons, in a way, fear her and the
Yeah.
legend that she's built up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And in that same chapter, we learned that she was the one that helped the humans research magic
Yeah.
and change the demon, human killing magic
Mm-hmm.
to one that actually kills demons.
Right. Yeah, yeah, I get that wasn't something I had expected because at least from the first book or at least I got the impression that humans were a bit more, I guess,
Capable?
well, capable in kind of coming up with kind of in reinventing things and inventing
Uh
things,
huh.
um, compared to elves. Because I got the impression from Frieren that they just take their time really, like, they take a really long time doing pretty much anything. So
Mm-hmm.
humans would be more efficient at, well, progressing magic that they use, for example.
Mm.
But yeah, it was fun to see that she had also had a hand in that, and supposedly a big hand in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of her and like elves in general, what we learned also in this book was how there aren't very many elves left in the world. In fact, most people probably have never seen one at all, and even Frieren hasn't seen another elf in over 400 years. Uh,
Yeah.
all of this because elves supposedly lack romantic and reproductive instincts and are apparently slowly going extinct because of that.
Yeah. Not great for keeping up a race, I guess.
Not at all, sadly. Yeah. Yeah. But I thought that was an interesting take on the elf race, in
Yeah.
fantasy.
I'm curious. What's her parent situation?
Yeah.
I guess someone has to make sure this race doesn't die out. But you know, have they passed away or are they just separated? Like,
Hmm.
I don't know. She hasn't
Right.
seen one in over 400 years, like you said. So maybe it's not something that she's seeking after. She's never said that. Oh, I'm looking for other elves,
And
ever.
precisely, yeah. Yeah, she doesn't seem too bothered by it.
Yeah.
And I guess for her, it's just like whenever she dies, if worst case scenario, if she would be the last elf when she eventually dies of old age or something, maybe she wouldn't really care. Like maybe she doesn't have that strong of a connection necessarily to like the elven race or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. I hope we learn more about the elves in this world and maybe their backstory. Like, I understand like they're dying out, but why was Frieden essentially all alone? And I guess she had her master, but how long was she alone before that happened, or
Yeah,
was she not? I don't know. That'd be some really cool backstory to get, I think.
absolutely. And I'm sure at some point we're going to meet at least another elf in the story, and that should be fun to I guess to just to meet another character that's also an elf to see kind of how different would that character be from Frieren, for example, is
Mm.
something that I'm curious to see also. Because maybe not all elves are this uh, slow or like lax about everything.
Well,
You know.
And that's something I wanted to ask you. Do you think that since they don't have the uh, I guess desire to reproduce and what was the other thing? Desire to reproduce.
Or like and romance in general.
Yeah, and romance. Are they kind of cold and a similar personality to Frieren,
Mm.
or they do have like two different types of people? I don't know.
I mean, I hope so. Although at the same time, I'm sure at least the average elf doesn't have the same drive as a human because, well, they don't need to. They don't. They have like almost an infinite amount of time to do everything that they want to do. Meanwhile, humans don't. So I think that's probably something that could be said for at least most of the elves in this world. That said, though, I think there's surely still different personalities that that would make another elf distinctly different from Frieren, I'm sure, or I hope. What do you think?
I think that they'll behave similarly to Frieren and maybe even more distant. I think
Mm.
Frieren's journey has really changed her and you'll see how much she better understands humans, and maybe that's part of the elfish downfall, or what's leading to their extinction is that they refuse to understand other races and learn from the humans and the dwarves or whatever.
Yeah, that.
Although we don't really know the dwarf status, but yeah, that's
Mm,
something
that.
I think could happen, and maybe Frieden will kind of stand up, and maybe that's why she doesn't want to be around elves because she doesn't agree with their viewpoint. I'm like,
Mm.
maybe.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea, and I guess that could also explain why human or why people don't really see or meet a lot of elves. That maybe they just purposely keep away from humans and the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Even though surely there are few, to be fair, but still, like
Yeah.
even the few that do exist might a lot of them might just keep away on purpose anyway.
I wonder, do they have any desire to learn all these magic spells like Frieden does? Obviously, we know that there's a certain reason that she's kind of obsessed with learning these interesting spells. But
Hmm.
what about other elves? Do they care to grow in magic? Do they? What do they keep? What do they use their time for? You know.
True.
Um,
Right. Yeah. I mean, could be all sorts of things, but it's funny because at least traditionally, I feel like elves are usually viewed as a pretty magic capable
yeah.
race
Exactly.
in a lot of other fantasy stories. So if that isn't the case here, I think that could be pretty cool, or like a fresh
Hmm.
take on the elves.
Yeah.
My last little note on Frieren is just how strongly she reacted when Stark called her old hag. She did not like that.
Oh, he's in trouble.
Yeah, she's gonna find a way to get back at him.
In that same chapter, well, actually, no, it's in the next chapter, but it's the same scene actually,
Mm,
when she's trying to carry all the prizes
yeah,
from the nest, and she ends up in that same position that was so common in the first volume. I hope that's a running gag. I really hope
yeah.
that you just see her, just you know, I don't know how to describe it, but in that position,
Yes, absolutely.
stuck.
It's great. What else on Frieren?
I think that's it.
Then let's move on to Fern. And last time when we talked about Fern, I kind of went over my notes on her age and how she aged as the story went on, and kind of where
Mm.
basically what age she was at in each of the chapters of the previous book. However, in this book it was very simple because this entire book took place 28 years after the death of Himmel, so she is still 17, just as she was at the end of the previous book.
I knew you would do the math for me, even
Well,
though there
yeah,
was no math involved.
yeah, not this time. It was, yeah, very simple. Yeah, I mean, last time, like this the previous book, the first book spanned over so many years. Meanwhile, this one didn't really, time did barely pass at all.
I kind of figured that would be the case with the pacing of the story. Like the
Right.
first, yeah, I think we just even discussed this in the previous,
I think we did, yeah.
yeah, thing that it would slow down greatly.
Hmm.
Um, although maybe I didn't think this would all happen in one year.
Right, but yeah, at least I think this is good, because
Oh yeah,
if it
absolutely.
continued at the pace it was, then
Oh yeah.
Fern would be long dead probably.
We by the
uh,
time they got to the end, we would be getting through some great grandchildren here. You know.
yeah, right. But Fern's name means remote or like far away in German. Um,
Oh.
it's I guess I had a little bit of a hard time kind of relating that to her character, I guess, because
Mm.
I think a lot of the other ones are more obvious. I guess, yeah. I guess I haven't put too much thought into it yet. But do you have any spontaneous ideas as to why her that might be her name?
So first off, fern. When I think of that in English, I think of a plant. Um,
Oh,
a plant that is literally called fern.
oh, I see.
Um,
I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure it's spelled Fern.
Ah, I see. I see.
So, as for the meaning far away, I don't. She doesn't feel like a person that's distant or like she's lost in thought or anything like that.
No, no, right. I mean, I get. Well, I guess she is sometimes when she's thinking back on Haiter and stuff like that, for example. But I think that's a different thing,
But that's
kind
not.
of.
Yeah.
Because I also didn't feel like it made sense with like being like a distant as a person. I didn't really feel that
Mm-mm.
way either.
Well, actually, I mean, I don't feel like she's doesn't necessarily closing herself off, but the way, I guess, her kind of personality towards Stark is not one that she's not immediately open, and she kind of
Hmm.
doesn't really take to him or really want to be friends with him. And she does call everybody, master something, probably using Sama or something like that.
Right.
So maybe there is that distance of I
True.
don't really want to get to know you on a friend basis. But again,
Right.
I'm just pulling that out of my hat.
Right,
Um,
right. No, but I mean, could be something like that. I especially liked your idea like of having. Well, your example with calling everyone master and stuff like that, I think was a good example. But I had another very kind of shallow idea, and I don't know if it actually has anything to do with what the mangaka intended, but she's a mage and she is able to use spells from a distance.
hey,
You know,
I think that's a pretty good reason, a good enough reason,
perhaps. Um,
especially since in her introduction arc or chapter,
mm.
she had to shoot that rock from such a far away
Oh yeah, that's true.
point.
Uh, and another thing that we were introduced to very early about her character is kind of one of her specialities, kind of when it comes to magic and mana, is to conceal her mana from other mages. Was the thing that we learned very early on when she was a child,
Hmm.
because Frieren didn't detect her until she was very close by. I think like one of the first, or one of the early times at least when they met.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess closing her mana off, closing herself off, kind of like that, as we were talking about at the beginning, kind of being remote in that kind of way, perhaps. But maybe that's too far fetched. I don't know. uh,
I think that Farron's personality really kind of comes to its own in this one. I
yeah,
mean, obviously, it was growing in the first, and you could see she was getting a little exasperated with Frieden, and it's like, okay, how long are we gonna stay here for? Like,
yeah, right.
I don't have as long as you do.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then, but this one, especially with the introduction of Stark,
Mm.
you can see how she interacts with people and maybe thinks differently in some ways, but also uh, needed some another person who, according to her, is normal. I mean,
Yeah,
understandable.
right.
Frieden is not normal to a human.
No, no, for sure. No, but I absolutely agree. I think she definitely grew in my eyes after having read this book. Well, I think both she and Frieren did, but yeah, I think probably especially Fern. So yeah, it's been great to see. And I mean, she misses Heiter a lot, as we kind of understand,
Yeah,
and we kind of knew probably from the previous one, but it's nice to see that followed up on in this one here. And how I guess I didn't really put it together that when they decided to go to Enda at the end of the previous book, that one of the things that she wants to do there is to talk to Heiter again.
that's great. That's sweet.
That should be nice, whenever they get there.
It's not something that I thought about, but yeah, you're right. I mean, they're going to a place where you could talk to the dead, so might as well.
Right. Yeah. And it is funny how she continues to be kind of like a mother figure for Frieren, or
Right?
like she at least kind of takes on that role.
It's so great.
And like she rewards her for waking up early and stuff
We
like
must praise her when she behaves well.
I felt so sorry for Stark in that scene. He was like massaging her, and he was like, "What the hell am I doing?"
uh,
But yeah, yeah.
you know, we talk about Frieren being cold, and I'm not saying that Fern is necessarily like, a mean person, but she throws some of the coldest one-liners, like
Mm-hmm.
really, like for example, when she uses the spell to, see through clothes, she
Yeah.
she knows what she's doing. She turns over and looks at Stark, almost like, okay, well, might as well see if there's something interesting over here. And then she's like, wow, that's small, or is it's small.
So small.
Oh yeah, so small. Yeah, not even it's small. It's so small.
Yeah.
Uh, and I just think emotional damage.
Yeah. Oh my.
Like,
I mean, she I think straight up destroyed both. I mean, especially him, but also Frieren there when she was like, "Oh, that's not particularly interesting," or whatever she said. When she looked at Frieren. But no, yeah, she definitely was very savage. I think to both of them, but yeah, especially to poor Stark.
absolute savage. Absolute savage.
Yeah.
And there's
That was.
another moment where she looks at Stark and is just like pathetic, like she doesn't say pathetic, but the look that she's given him is like, what any of those memes where you just got a person looking down, just
Yeah.
pathetic.
Is it when she says that he's a pain in the ass or something? Is it that
No,
time?
it's not that one, but that let's talk about that one too. That one
Yeah.
is yeah, it's such a funny moment because she goes from the super polite to like, get your butt over here and help me,
Mm-hmm.
idiot. You're such a pain in the butt. Um,
uh,
there's no middle ground with her, I guess.
no. But she has a sweet side too. Like when she realized that Stark was a normal person. When they were at that cafe place,
Uh huh.
and she was just really happy about that, it seemed. And I thought that was a sweet moment from her, like a side of her that was not too much and not too little of I guess, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think there was a couple moments where she came to understand Stark in particular.
Right.
Uh, the first one being seeing how strong he is, um, and that he just has these fears that he's overcome, and then she gives him advice or her experience on how she eventually overcame that and trusted in the training that her master gave to him, and so
Mm.
therefore he can trust in his training. And then the other one was when they were on that bridge, and Stark was explaining his dream. She listened very intently and said, "Yeah, let's do that. Let's try to fulfill that dream." So
Yeah.
yeah, I think obviously she's a sweet girl, but she can be a savage when she wants to.
For
Uh,
sure.
like she's quick. I feel like she's pretty quick to judge people, and if she doesn't like something, I guess she'll let you know, not in an annoying way, but in a oh my gosh, I fear for my life kind of a way, or actually no, not fear for my life, more like I wish I was never born.
Right. But I mean, yeah, I do agree. She is quick to judge people, but she's also quick to kind of turn around as well, based on the very nice moments that she did have with Stark that we've talked
Yeah,
about. So I think, it's good as well.
no, yeah, absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely. That by the way, that pathetic frame I was thinking of,
Mm.
it's when it's before the see through clothes spell. It's when they first meet him. He talks about how he's afraid of the dragon, and
Oh.
she's like, "This guy's hopeless. Let's find someone else."
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's right. That's right.
That face.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. She. Yeah. Again, she really grew for me this volume. Like it's fun to see, like, okay, because she really has these several sides to her character now that we know of. So
Right.
it's really, yeah, it makes her feel more real and more enjoyable.
I just had one more line. Uh, when she's talking to Frieren, he's like, "You see, unlike you, I'm a good girl." Like,
Oh yeah.
I don't know how that's supposed to be read. Is that supposed to be read as, you know, just sarcastically in a way, like this is anybody who's a good person would do this,
Hmm.
or is she, I don't know. Like, I just thought it was a funny line.
Maybe a little bit tongue in cheek,
Yeah, maybe.
perhaps. Uh, but
Anyway.
yeah. But about what I talked about earlier, or mentioned earlier, about how, well, one of her kind of magic specialities being that she can conceal her mana very well. I really liked how that came into play at the end of this book with
Mm-hmm.
Linia, that one demon girl who
Uh-huh.
was supposedly very good at detecting mana, but even she couldn't detect ferns. So just cool to see that again, I guess, and to know that ability of hers hasn't been forgotten.
It's impressive to see that these two people going on a journey with Frieren are quite competent, it seems, even in
Oh
the
yeah,
face of very powerful demons.
right.
Maybe not against the big bad that Frieren was about to fight at the end there, but
Mm.
you know, these those two demons that were in the final chapter that they were fighting didn't seem like mere pushovers. So the fact that they were able to
Uh
go
huh.
head to head with them is quite impressive.
For sure. Yeah, yeah. It's awesome that, yeah, like, sure, Frieren is miles ahead of both of them, surely,
Uh huh.
but still, yeah, they are both incredibly capable at what they do. I agree. And actually, that was something
Go
that
humans!
yeah,
Yeah.
but that was something that Lugner pointed out about Fern, like her resemblance to Frieren, like after they had left, like at the very end of the book.
Ah.
He pointed out that she reminded him, or yeah, she reminded him of Frieren. So it's nice to know just how much she has. Well, sure, like, well, she is her own mage, surely, but she has picked up on a lot of things from her master, which makes
Mm.
sense. But it's fun
Hmm.
to know that, I think,
Yeah.
and to know that other characters in the world pick up on that as well.
Absolutely.
And my last thing on Fern was how she feels like Frieren doesn't have much interest in her. She talks to when she talks to Eisen at the beginning. I think well, I think it's safe to say that she's misunderstanding Frieren. I think deep down Frieren does care about her and does have interest in her.
Absolutely.
But obviously, yeah, as we've said, Frieren struggles with kind of showing those sorts of, well, showing her affection in ways that I guess humans are usually used to.
Hmm.
But yeah, I guess I don't know, I don't necessarily have a point to make about this, but I'm interested in seeing how this is gonna kind of keep going. I guess as the story continues for Fern, like how and when is she going to understand that
Hmm.
Frieren does indeed care about her and have interest in her?
I think going back to my birthday discussion, for Frieden, those birthdays seem much more frequent than
Mm,
to Fern, right?
yeah.
That's one year occurrence, but to Frieden, 1 year is nothing.
Mm,
So, and I'm not saying that's the only way that Frieden shows interest in her or takes interest in her, but I think that in and of itself is probably a huge gesture, um, and it shows that Frieden is thinking about her frequently, at least in Frieden's understanding of time and whatnot.
yeah, absolutely. Plus the thing I said before about how she so openly supports and believes in Fern,
Right.
I think also shows
Absolutely.
that.
Hmm.
So anything else on Fern?
No, I really like her. I
Yeah,
think she's pretty cute.
absolutely. Then let's talk about Stark next. And his name in German, and actually also in Swedish, coincidentally, although, I mean, I guess there are some overlaps between many of the Germanic languages, but Stark means, or Stark, I guess, means
Duck.
strong in German and in Swedish.
Oh, gee, I wonder why that
Yeah.
is.
So, yeah, in his case, it was very easy to understand why Stark means strong.
So I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense for Fern to be distant now, understanding that because, like you said, distant is magic. Like you attack from
Mm.
far away. So I
Oh,
think that
yeah.
makes sense because
Ah.
strong is what a warrior is.
Oh yeah, that is at least in their cases, it's tied to their kind of
Right. Yeah. I guess in Frieden.
combat specialities.
Yeah,
but I mean,
Frieren's a little different, but
Frieren and Flamme are kind of in the same vein as each other. Meanwhile, Stark and Fern could be in the same vein as each other. Like it could be kind of paired like that. Like I guess
are you
different.
already shipping those two?
Maybe. No, I'm not. But
No,
I could
no, I
I
don't know what
could
you're talking about.
definitely see myself doing it very soon, probably.
Right. Yeah. I guess since I brought it up, my bad. Yeah. It's one of those things where I don't want to like jump on the bandwagon too quickly, you know. But it's
Right.
you could see something happening. I know some
Absolutely.
people, as soon as just two people say hi to each other, they're just like, yes, ship it so hard.
Yeah.
For me, there's got to be some sort of interest in the other person, and while they are getting to know each other on their journey, it's not necessarily a interest per a deep wanting to know this other person or care for the other person per se.
Right. I
And
mean, yeah, they don't really know each other that well yet.
there can just be friends. That
For
is a
sure.
possibility.
Hmm.
But that being all said, I like the dynamic these two have right now.
Yes.
And I'm excited to see where it goes from here, and would not be against shipping it eventually.
I 100% agree. Yeah, I think yeah, I'm in the same boat there.
Cool. Anyway.
Yes. So similarly to Fern, Stark also I think misunderstood his master. Like we said, Fern doesn't understand that Frieren cares about her. I think
Uh-huh.
similarly, Stark misunderstood Eisen. Thinking that Eisen was mad at him for running away and
Yeah.
like those sorts of things. So I think it's nice to see that similarity between him and Fern. And another similarity I saw was also, or wait, there was no other similarity. Never mind.
You lie.
I lied. No, but I was gonna call back to another thing we talked about in the Fern discussion, is how I really appreciate how well his honesty about his fears, and about his emotions, and all of that, and like how open he can be about that, and obviously as we learn, it's a trait that he shares with Eisen. No, actually, it was something that I'm sorry, I'm all over the place right now. It was a similarity between him and Fern. So yeah,
Right.
basically, I think it's cool that Stark and Fern both have picked up a lot of things from their respective masters. As we talked about how the demon Lugner pointed out the similarity between Fern and
Mm-hmm.
Frieren, Stark also has similarities to the man that trained him.
Yeah. And it's not just the cowardliness, but just how strong they are and everything. Like, it's cool to see that comparison, or what's been passed down. And also about Stark and Fern is Fern. I guess I mentioned this earlier, but Fern was hesitant and afraid to attack her first monster. That
Right.
she had that cowardly moment, and that was able to cheer up Stark in the end with that. And I think in that they kind of share something in common. Although I guess it's fair to say, while Fern does show some hesitancy in certain situations, like especially if she knows a foe is going to be a little too difficult, like maybe she doesn't want anything with that. But it's
Mm.
not to the extent of Stark's cowardliness. You know.
Right. Mm.
Anyway, so I just love how much of an absolute beast Stark is. Because, yes, Eisen is strong, but Eisen feared him. Like,
Yes.
there's a
Right.
reason why he punched him and gave him that scar. It's
Uh,
because he couldn't control himself because this aura this man was emitting.
yeah. Right. Yeah, and the dragon could sense it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's gonna be amazing to see Stark's like growth from here. If the great warrior Eisen is afraid of him.
For sure. I mean, he's already incredibly strong. So like in combat, like he's already incredibly capable. I feel like the area where I am hoping to see the most growth from him is in his self-confidence and his self-worth, because
Yeah.
he's underestimating himself and his abilities,
Yeah.
and yeah, I guess that's something that I absolutely expect to see him improve upon as the story continues.
Agreed.
Hmm.
And he's a pretty likable guy.
Oh yeah.
Um, not conceited at all, and um, I guess that has to do with his lack of self confidence. But he seems to be a humble guy,
Oh yeah.
and yeah, I think it'll be great to see that growth, like you said, and
Hmm.
see how he, I guess, grows and furthers the relationship he's established with these two.
Absolutely.
The goal that I was mentioning earlier in the Fern discussion was wanting to bring back silly yet fun memories to Eisen, his master.
Hmm.
And I thought that was very sweet and a
Yeah.
really a nice goal to have. And I could see why Fern would be, you know, supportive of that goal.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. It was really sweet, and yeah, just to know that he wants to repay Eisen for all the stories that he told him.
Yeah.
So by telling some stories of his own, and I really hope he's gonna be able to do that. That he will be back in time for before Eisen dies of old age to tell those stories about the journey.
Yeah. While there, is a timer of sorts, it sounded like to me that at least after he stated his goal that Stark thinks that Eisen will have a fair amount of time left.
Yeah. Right.
Um,
So I hope he's right.
right, right. Yeah, I hope he's right as well. But I think we were talking in the previous volume. Oh, how long will Eisen still be around?
Yeah.
But potentially, at least alive, maybe a while. I don't know if he'll show up again in the book or not, but we'll see.
For sure. So anything more on Stark?
Nope.
Cool. Then the rest of the ones are smaller, of course, but I'm just gonna go over quickly the previous party,
Sure.
mostly for their names right now. But
Yeah.
starting with Himmel, I think I actually may have mentioned it last time that it means sky,
Oh.
both in German and in Swedish. Actually, also it means sky, but it also means heaven. It means both of those words.
Okay.
So
Oh,
I mean, he was the first one to go to heaven, I guess you could
true.
say, and out of the party members.
True. You know what's funny in one of the chapters after Stark had joined the party, he
Hmm.
asks, "By the way, where are we going?" And
Oh yeah,
Frieden says, "Heaven."
that's right.
So I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but
Yeah,
that's
I
interesting.
wonder. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it could be. But anyway, then we have Heiter, and his name in German means cheerful, which also I think makes sense. He is
Yeah,
definitely a cheerful guy. He usually tries to
cheerful
he's
drunk.
the one to cheer everyone up when they start, or
Yeah,
when Frieren was starting to speak like it's kind of boringly. But
you're right.
and then Eisen means iron in German. I guess fitting for a
Mm,
dwarf.
right. Mm-hmm.
And I mean he's
That's a
wearing an
stereotype.
iron helmet, iron axe, I think. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah. By the way, did you have anything else on Eisen?
Eisen himself, just something he said actually.
Hmm?
So I guess this is about the story overall, but I'll mention it here.
Mm-hmm.
He says other things happen at Inda, and he mentions that when Frieden is talking in her sleep. So I
Oh yeah.
wonder if
Ah,
Frieden was remembering in the dream, and what exactly happened that would be so, I guess, maybe traumatic,
right.
that she would kind of be uncomfortable while sleeping. Um,
True. Yeah, I didn't think about that much for some reason, but yeah, that's a really good idea.
I guess you are taking down the Demon King, but maybe, but what
Hmm.
if she, what if she saw Flemma when they went to go kill the Demon King because he had his castle there. Although I don't know if Frieden knew that was where it was at the time. You know,
True. Yeah, it seemed in the last volume that was like that was news to her. It
right.
seemed like
So
at
maybe
least.
not.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the very least, like maybe there is something in her past that's haunting her or something. Like
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what it is, like it might not necessarily be from her journey with the hero
Oh
party.
yeah, it could go even farther. Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah, because she has led a long life,
That's true.
at least 1,000 years. Mm. But moving on a little bit to Graf Granite, and his name, well, graph means graph, like, but with the spelled with ph in English. Um, it just means that. And granite is the German word for, or Granat, I think is the pronunciation, is the German word for garnet, like the rock. I guess it's like a
That makes
gemstone
sense.
kind of
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
so it fits
Hmm.
for like some kind of royal or noble person like that.
But couldn't Graf also be like a count or an earl, like a roll kind of a thing?
Oh, like in this world, you mean?
No, not in our
Or
world.
oh, actually maybe it is. I just don't know of it if it is. But if that is the case, then that might just be what it's supposed to be then.
Yeah, so Graf is a historical title of the German nobility, usually
Oh,
translated as count.
I see. Oh,
G R
I had
A
no idea.
F, right?
GRAF. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Uh-huh. Cool. Cool. Then yeah, then that's what that is. So I guess coincidentally, it is also the German word for just literally a graph. But
Like a
yeah, no, that
mathematical graph kind of a thing.
right, yeah, yeah. Same spelling in Swedish as well, actually, for that word.
Ah,
Uh,
gotcha.
as well as Granat. Well, the surname, or maybe that's his first name. If Graf is just a title. Anyway,
Yeah, I think Graf might be the title because
yeah, yeah,
he does seem to be some sort of figure, you
yeah.
know.
Like he's the leader of that town or something like that.
Right.
It seems, or his family has been for
It's like, well, you
generations.
better not speak to me like that. I was like, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That. Yeah. No, but I think you're absolutely right. That's good. Um. But anyway, was there anything more on him?
Oh no, no. I honestly I don't expect to see much more of him. Maybe he'll be like,
Mm.
"Thank you so much for saving us," and that's
Right.
about it.
Yeah. Something like that. Uh, then moving on to Lord Lügner, and Lügner in German means liar. So, very fitting, I suppose.
You're luckily no one here speaks German, otherwise we'd be very suspicious of you.
Yeah, right. Lord Liar. No, I think yeah, maybe too much on the nose. Although for anyone who doesn't speak German, I mean,
No,
it doesn't it's not.
yeah.
uh, but it's actually it's not the exact same word in Swedish, but it's very similar. Basically, switch out
Uh,
that U with the dots for an O with two dots instead, and you not exactly, but you almost have the Swedish word for liar. But anyway, I will say at first when he was just had recently been introduced and we saw Frieren immediately doubting him and stuff like that.
hmm
In my head, I was like, but what if he actually turns out to be trustworthy and like a decent fella?
uh-huh.
I really and I wanted that kind of to be the case because I
Really?
like well yeah because I guess I wanted or part of me at least wanted Frieren to be wrong about her assumption about that guy.
Uh,
But then obviously that very much turned out to not be the case. And just about demons in general, we were made to believe or to understand that demons just are bad, regardless of the situation or anything.
I mean, yeah, they're like monsters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. They truly are. But like before we understood that through this book, I was trying to hold on to the idea that well what if it's not that black and white? I guess. Uh,
So my thinking behind it all was there have been so many instances where, oh wow, demons are actually good. Well, I say so many instances as of late,
fair. Oh
especially
yeah.
within these kind of fantasy
Mm,
story, well, particularly like manga and anime.
yeah.
It's the demons. Oh no, they're just misunderstood, or they're
Yeah.
not bad creature. I mean, Demon Slayer. Okay, Demon Slayer. Regard, although they even try to make you sympathize or make you, feel sorry for the demons in that one.
True.
It doesn't. It's not
That's
so
true.
much in this one.
No.
Although the backstory with Himmel and that girl who kills the mayor and everything,
Mm.
I think there was a bit of emotional manipulation there that kind of it's kind of hard to like understand like how to feel about that. But obviously, you know, it's just a monster trying to use human speech in order to, um, I guess, kill and eat. But
Precisely.
anyway, I like the fact that they didn't go with the no demons are actually good; they're just misunderstood.
Mm.
kind of concept, and I
Yeah.
think it takes like the demons are just malicious and mischievous beings, and runs with it. It's kind of refreshing in that way.
Actually, yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I like having heard you say that now. I completely agree with it, and it's really it's fresh that they're going back to the roots, kind of what demons originally were.
Right. Yeah.
But because, no, because you're absolutely right. Lately, in a lot of media, yeah, it has been a bit more gray, kind of around what demons are and or like where they
Hmm.
stand. Uh, but obviously, demons at the core, what they originally were, was just these purely evil beings.
Right.
And yeah, yeah. So it is it is fresh to go back to the origins of them in that sense. I like that.
Yeah, and I like how they don't understand human emotions. Like they don't understand, family units and things
Yeah.
like that. It's very fascinating aspect of it. So it's not just the fact that they're, evil beings. They are in entirely different species. Was that Shino?
Yeah.
That was cute. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, that entirely different species and just a different mentality that's being explored here that I would
Mm.
argue you don't really see in some other um, iterations of demons.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see. I mean, I don't expect it to be in the story the whole time, but I'm sure, especially since we have like a number, for here, if I can, of how many demon lords there were.
Well, there were seven sages of destruction,
That's what it was. Yeah, yeah.
but then like that guy from the previous book who
Hmm.
had like created the inventor of that offensive spell, that killing spell.
Hmm.
He was a sage of chaos or something like that. I think they mentioned in this book. So he
Mm.
like maybe the sages of destruction aren't the only, like the seven sages of destruction aren't the only big bads or something. You know.
Maybe. Good point. So yeah, there's potential to see more demons or I guess other malicious things and see what their views on the world are as well.
Mm.
One other thing I want to mention about the demons is the concept of using human speech as a way to get free, but also to trick humans. Like it's so devious, and you wouldn't really think about
Yeah.
that because we're so focused on, oh, you hear something speak, it will be able to communicate. It must be human. It must be okay. But then they use that to their advantage. It's like, oh, it's just so evil and manipulative. It is kind of scary to think about, but interesting because of that.
Yeah. I think it was really just interesting and kind of eerie, kind of scary a little bit that the demons they know of all these words like mother and father and all of that, but they have
Mm,
no idea of what it means.
yeah,
Like I just found that really interesting and just so kind of alien of and which they're supposed to feel alien, but
yeah.
and I think the mangaka really they're really able to pull that vibe off with these
Hmm.
with the demons through by writing them and like portraying them the way they are.
And I think it provides another contrast that we've been mentioning comparisons and contrasts this entire discussion. This one I think is contrast between Frieren being not human herself, but trying to understand humans and their emotions and whatnot. Not to
Mm,
say she doesn't have those emotions herself, but then you have demons who, you know, don't understand any of those concepts eh,
yeah.
in using them in that way. So, again, I wonder about Frieden and her parents, and yet she doesn't have that normal, I guess, family situation. Normal is not the right word, but
Mm,
typical family situation, I guess.
right, right.
Um, and so it kind of provides a comparison with the demons, who that sort of family unit just doesn't exist within their society.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like Frieren is still on the same scale kind of as the humans are.
Yeah.
Like even though maybe far off,
Hmm.
but the demons aren't even on the scale.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
but anyway, anything more on Lord Lugner?
No.
Then I guess a little bit on Aura the guillotine. Well, her name I think it just means literally like aura, like the same spelling. It's just pronounced I think aura instead of aura. Um, I'm fighting Shino a little bit, and if she has been heard throughout this discussion at some points, just for anyone who doesn't, no one listening knows because I told James this off recording, but she is in heat right now, for her first time ever. She is just over 8 months old, and she's a horny kitten right now, basically. And yeah, she's a little bit wild and loud at times. But
I've only heard her once, I think.
cool,
So
cool. That's good at least. I've been trying to hold her like in my arms and kind of have her lay in my lap for most of this discussion. But anyway, Aura or Aura, as we said, one of the seven sages of destruction, and supposedly one of the Demon King's favorites. And what I thought was the most interesting about her was that we learned from Fern, I think it was, that Aura regained her powers 28 years ago. So that was the same amount of years ago as, well, when Himmel died.
mm,
So I wonder, or like I kind of feel like his death probably possibly allowed her like to regain her powers somehow. Like maybe she had been maybe sealed somehow through something that was tied to Himmel's life, maybe. Or I mean, at least I feel like it's not a coincidence that it happened at the same time.
yeah, I think that's a strong possibility. I actually didn't even think about that time frame, and that's when Himmel dies. You're exactly
Mm.
right. So it's got to be related
Right, right.
some way.
And my last thing on Aura is like she's holding a pair of scales,
Mm-hmm.
and I wonder like weighing scales.
Right.
Um, and I wonder if that has any significance. Like, is it supposed to symbolize something, perhaps, or does she like use it as a weapon somehow? Like I don't know. I hope the next volume will give us an explanation to that.
Yeah, it is a interesting design choice.
Yeah.
I hope it's not just aesthetic.
I hope there is something more to it. Yeah, in some way at least.
Yeah.
Did you have anything more on her?
Why is her name Guillotine?
Her title, kind of.
Yeah. Her title, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I just feel like it's probably because she's maybe she's killed a lot of enemies, like something like
mm,
that. Maybe just like a title she got, perhaps.
fair.
I am very interested in seeing her, like more of her in the next book, because she seems interesting. Like she seems like a major threat. So I'm and like even Frieren seemed to be at least a little bit intimidated by her.
Right.
So it should be interesting to see more of her. But then moving on to the demon servants Linia and Drat. Well, and I really just want to point out what their names mean actually. uh,
Okay.
Linia is the same as in Swedish as well. German and Swedish happens to have the same thing here, where it means line, like a line is what her name means. And Drat, the guy that dies in the prison cell, his name means wire. So their names are like,
Ah.
well, there's a correlation between their two names. Not all. Well, I mean, and obviously it makes sense with his magic.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's what I was going on about. It's like, oh yeah,
yeah,
he's using
right.
a wire.
Yeah. Plus, I feel like line and wire,
Yeah.
makes
Yeah.
sense, or like
Hmm.
there's a similarity there. I wonder if line has something to do with her abilities as well, or if her name is just meant to kind of mirror his name. I don't know.
Hmm.
The only thing that we know of her, like that's kind of special, is that she's supposedly very good at detecting mana, or like detecting of the other mages. But maybe there's more to her.
To be fair, the Mr. Liar or Count Liar, he has some sort of blood manipulation magic, like his own blood, right?
True. Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe the name doesn't have anything to do with the power, right? But I guess it did in Wire's case.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, I don't have anything more on any other characters. So if you have anything left, go for it.
I think I've said everything I want to.
Awesome.
What I'm expecting for the next volume, it's got to be the fight between Frieren and Aura. See how that
Yeah.
goes down,
For sure.
and I guess the fight between Lagner, the liar and the line.
For sure. Like, well, yeah, just in general, to see this conflict continue is something I'm
Yeah.
just really excited to see. And I expect it to last at least for most of the next book.
Oh,
Uh,
most of the next book. Okay.
Maybe this is wishful thinking, but I feel like there still could come a lot from this, like
Fair.
from this conflict here.
Yeah.
Sure, it's already gone longer than most arcs, I suppose, in this book, so
Hmm.
not necessarily, but I'm hoping for it to, I guess, be at least half of the next book, the first half or something. Should be fun.
I could see that.
And I guess something else. Well, a note I took before you told me about. Well, before you kind of took me, brought me over to your side about the demons, the fact that they are kind of just pure evil. That's actually kind of a cool thing.
Uh
Um,
huh.
a note I took before I was of that opinion, which I guess I still wouldn't be opposed to, is
Yeah.
that if the next book would somehow give us a twist about the demons in some sense, that not necessarily that they are good, but perhaps something more that we don't know, something that Frieren
Uh huh.
maybe doesn't understand or hasn't experienced before. Like, I think, well, actually, in general, to give Frieren a new type of experience would be fun, because
Oh yeah.
a lot of the stuff that we've seen is stuff like she's well versed with, or that she's experienced with. So yeah, I guess that's something that I would like to see pretty soon. Just something that she's not on top of, I guess.
Well, going along with that, there in my second read through, I felt that demon in the Himmel flashback when she killed the mayor, she
Hmm.
did it because the one woman had very hostile feelings towards her, and so in her demon logic, it was like, okay, I'll just kill this guy and it should work out, right?
Hmm.
Or I kill this guy and give you the daughter. That should make it all right. She's like,
Hmm.
oh, I messed up. Well, okay, I'll take her as a hostage, and obviously didn't get to finish what she was saying, and rightfully so. But
Yeah.
maybe there is something more to that, like helping them understand that that's not okay, or
Well,
that
yeah, yeah.
that. But at the same time, it's hard to deny that they are, meant to kill humans, and that is their
Hmm.
kind of purpose.
Yeah.
So if it does go the route of helping demons understand, then I guess I'm somewhat fine with that.
Hmm.
I mean, it's not like I think it'll be poorly written. I like the pacing and the writing in this, so I feel that they could probably do a pretty good job.
Hmm.
But I'm still kind of hoping that it's a demons are evil kind of stance.
Right. Right.
But I agree, having Frieden learn something new would be nice as well.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I guess on a more emotional plane, she has been growing in that regard.
Yeah. Hmm.
So I guess, to be fair, she is still learning and growing. But I guess in this kind of adventure, on the side of the adventure, I suppose, is where I'd like to see more, or like something new for her.
Fair.
But yeah, any any other predictions or anything?
I think that's all I got right now.
Cool.
You
Yeah,
know.
me too. Then yeah, that was volume two. I yeah, again, I really enjoyed this volume. I probably have a more, like, I mean, I loved the first volume, so I was already back then very happy with the Free and Beyond Journey's End series. But I probably enjoy the series even more now after having read the second one.
Same. This is a really good volume.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think, like, maybe it was technically, for me at least, I may view it as being kind of on par with the first one, because I thought the first one also had some really really strong moments.
Yeah,
But just the
that's
fact
true.
that, well, the story has continued, and like we're now twice as far into it as we were last time. Um, I do enjoy the series as a whole more now than I did then, even though I think it's still just, well, it's just continued being just as good, which is really good.
Mm, mm.
But yeah, any final words before we end the episode?
I really think that this is going to be animated at some point because I think it's that
Yes,
good.
it's got to. Oh my god! I remember when I saw. I think when I read this book, it was especially when I saw like that scene at the end, like the battle between Fern Stark and the demons. Like
Yeah.
it was when I saw that, when I read that today, and I just got, wow, oh my god, this has got to be animated. I would love to see this like in color and in
Hmm.
motion and
Something I didn't realize is I think it was either 2019 or 2020. It was voted like the number one up and coming manga
oh
in Japan.
yeah, 20, it must have been 2020. I think that was when it started.
Gotcha.
Uh,
Yeah. So I
wow,
was wow. So I guess it's really beloved by well people Japanese over there.
that's awesome.
So I guess it's I mean, and understandable. It's been great in these past two volumes. So
Mm.
I guess it's just a matter of time before it gets animated.
Yeah, I really, really hope so, and yeah, it really deserves it. And also just based on the popularity that I've seen online as well, because I feel like, well, I mean, the fact that I heard so much praise about it,
Mm.
which was the reason why I wanted to start, why I suggested we do this on the podcast. Just the fact that it was, yeah, so many people spoke well of it, I think
Hmm.
is also a very good sign for that.
Agreed.
So yeah, here's hoping. But yes, I think that is it for this week then.
Yeah.
If you enjoy our content, you can follow us on Twitter at Umami Manga. And we have an Instagram now if anyone's interested in checking that out. Just recently started it. Not sure exactly how useful it is for a podcast, but hey, we got one at umami_manga. And it would also be lovely if you'd like to support us by either rating our show on the podcast platforms or subscribing to our channel, Umami Manga, on YouTube. If you like this episode, please share it with anyone you think might enjoy it too. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time when we'll talk about Volume 3. Bye bye!
See you later.
Wow, I'm really warm right now since I've been holding Shino throughout most of this discussion, and she's warm, so like the body heat has just kind of made it even warmer. Oh my god. Okay, Shino, go play now or do whatever you want to do. Oh, and I'm so furry too. She sheds so much. Oh, my shirt.